let's answer some crazy questions here on the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my crazy co-host, Kyle JCRB Krauts.
Yeah. What is going on here?
I'm just trying to shake it up. We've gone weekly now. I can't just do the usual, hi, and welcome to the BumbleKast. We got to mix it up.
We do?
We got to spice up. We got to get these people energized and engaged. We need another 200 subscribers so we can make them mad YouTube pennies. Hit the bell, ring the thumb, all that stupid nonsense. Make the algorithm work for us, people.
Yes. Leave your comments below. Tell us what your favorite Offspring song is. Why not?
Just post the lyrics so I can sing along.
Or that too, yes.
I want to see in the comments just like 3 or 4 people are going, yeah, and yeah.
Yeah.
One word apiece. Everybody, let's make it happen.
That's all I need. Oh, man. How are you doing, Ian?
I'm doing all right, sir. How about you?
It's been one heck of a week. Maybe. We're going to find out because we're recording this in advance just a little peek behind the curtain. But who knows what could have happened this week? It could have been anything. It could have been anything.
This year, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Who knows? We'll find out. And we'll talk to you about it next week, maybe, depending on what it is.
But if you want to find out other stuff, you can ask us questions. And here's how. You can email us at BumbleKast@yahoo.com, tweet to us at BumbleKast, comment anywhere in any of the YouTube videos. If you become a $5 patron over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, you can post anywhere on the Patreon site. You can donate $6 to us through Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/BumbleKast at $6. Please be sure to include your question. Otherwise, we have no idea if you're just being charitable and throwing money at us. Also, if you're a patron, head over to the Patron Discord and into the Q&A question channel. You can ask your question there. If you have read the FAQs on the BumbleKast, if you are not asking about anything that might appear in Lost Hedgehog Tales, and if you're asking something that hasn't been answered within the last few weeks, then you're golden. You're good. If you haven't done any of those 3 things, go do that before you ask your question. Again, if you want your question answered sooner rather than later, become a priority patron or donate through Ko-fi.
All right, let's jump on over into the priority Q&A. Here we go. Here's the first one from Chris A. Will there ever be a crossover of Archie Sonic, IDW Sonic, and Sonic the Comic once everyone agrees to this?
That comes with the concept that everyone would agree to that, and there's so many parties involved, I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody else does all the legal legwork and says, hey, Ian, do you want to contribute? Sure, I'd love to, but I will not look for that on the horizon.
Next question is from Papadripopolous. This one is a bit of a long one, so strap in. I feel there's a generational divide in the fan and public reaction in Metal Gear. I feel for a lot of people who were teens or adults when these games started to come out, and they mostly take it for face value. It's a spy thriller with guys who shoot bees, and Raiden gets naked, and Metal Gear?
Metal Gear.
The times where it tries to go serious or political are seen as goofy, and even pretentious. On the other hand, I feel a lot of people my age, maybe I just only know weirdos, take that political side of MGS more seriously and maybe even more relevant than the presentation. MGS2 is seen as a prescient game on the nature of information and cultural control in the digital age. Skullface resonates with those of us who see American culture intrude into other countries more and more, etc. I feel if Kojima were to retell the story of Metal Gear 1, he'd ground it further in politics and society. In fact, he did start to do it, with the MGS4 database retconning the destruction of Outer Heaven from a typical 80s video game the base explodes when you win, to NATO forces did a bombing run on the base. Conversely, I feel a lot of people, when telling this story, would focus on the game lore, the melodrama, and the plot. And how is the new Metal Gear an improvement over... How do you say that word?
Sahelanthropus.
That's almost like Papadripopolous.
It makes sense in the context of the game. Anyway.
Okay. Who are these new bosses, etc.? Over trying to do any political grounding. Do you have any thoughts on this notion of a generational divide in the reception of this series? And were you to do that story connecting Metal Gear Solid 5 to Metal Gear, would you lean more towards a Kojima-like real life political commentary, or a game lore 90s thriller approach?
First off, I don't feel like I am in a position to make any judgment calls on the fandom. My introduction to Metal Gear was through Let's Plays, and they were well after Metal Gear was established as a thing. It had already marked its territory within video game history and had established itself and its empire by the time I even started paying attention to it. So I am not one to make any kind of insight or critique into that aspect. In terms of interpreting the games as political commentary versus Metal Gear, I think Kojima has some really interesting insights into a lot of sociopolitical issues, but he conveys them through these really weird avant-garde story beats. So I feel like a lot of his message is lost in the presentation. That isn't necessarily to say that it's bad. It's just the way he presents his art. And I'm going to go out there and say the Metal Gear series is art. I mean, they are games and they function as entertainment, but the level of detail and intricacy and sometimes obtuseness that he applies to these creations are unparalleled throughout most of the medium, I would argue. Now, whether or not you think that he does a good job in creating his art or conveying his message or telling his story or constructing his characters, that's a whole other debate to be had. And I think you could go either way on it. I think there's no single right answer, but which is an incredibly centrist way to approach it, which is way out of left field when it comes to Kojima's worldview. But I feel like that at its core, he has some very interesting ideas. It's just he is a very weird in his presentation. And part of that comes from localization and how things are localized specifically, because I've heard that there are potentially some things that don't translate well specifically because of how he wanted things localized. But that's a much bigger discussion. Look up the Chip and Ironicus LP series, not to steer people away from our own gaming channel, but they're the guys who got me into Metal Gear, really. And Chip, especially, his insights into both the Metal Gear lore and the behind-the-scenes production are fascinating and insightful and encyclopedic without being dense. They're an excellent series of LPs. They're extremely long because he's very thorough with them, but if you get a chance, go through them, because he goes through the main storyline through all, 7 games, I think? 7, 8. As for the project that never got off the ground, I would have liked to have approached it in the more, I guess, modern style of Kojima storytelling, your Metal Gear 4, your Metal Gear 5 type, and treat it as serious within its own universe, but as an outside observer, you can tell that the tongue is firmly inserted into the cheek. You have to approach it with a degree of, this is hammy, but still treat it with respect. If nothing else, then to try to get a similar tone, so that if someone was reading a Metal Gear comic, they would feel like they are reading a cutscene, more or less. Whether or not I could emulate the Kojima style is something that I honestly look forward to being challenged by. Something that's streamlined enough for comics so that it isn't just text on a page, because man can be a little wordy.
Yeah.
But still convey that narrative voice, because he has a very distinct way of telling stories. He's almost Tarantino-esque in the way he sets up his scenes and his characters and their dialogue. It's some mundane stuff that kind of meanders, but you can't help but get engaged with it. And since it would be a bridging story, I don't really see a lot of room for it to be bombastic, because it would be the setup for what you know would be coming next. But that's all pie in the sky, because who knows if the editor would have agreed to it? Who knows if the licensor would have agreed to it? Who knows if I even could have done it right? Maybe it would have been a swing and a miss. I don't know. Lots of unknowns.
I was also asked for me to give my thoughts on this, and unfortunately, I don't have enough history with the Metal Gear series to really say one way or the other about any of this so much. I mean, I can't speak for the fandom, obviously. I don't follow the fandom at all for Metal Gear Solid, but I can imagine that there is probably a few generational divides, actually, given how long the series has been around. There's probably some people who started back with the NES versions, which were the ones that I knew of. And then when Metal Gear Solid came out for the PS1, I'm like, really? Metal Gear? That's back? I was kind of surprised at that. And I remember telling my stepbrothers, it's like, yeah, this used to be an old game for the original Nintendo. And they're like, what? So, yeah, that's like a generational divide right there, even. But other than that, I really couldn't say. So, yeah, I know a little bit about Metal Gear Solid 1. I know about the original Metal Gear. I've watched a playthrough of it. But that's really the only one I've seen in full, actually. And the NES version is a bit anticlimactic, but you already know that if you're a fan of it, so it's weird. There's nothing at the end of the game, really. It's a very strange game. All right, next one comes from Diane W. Who do you think is the best thing to happen to Pokemon? Dawn from Diamond and Pearl, Serena from X and Y, or Lillie from Sun and Moon? For whatever answer you pick, do you think it was the best season of the Pokemon anime? If so, please explain why.
I haven't followed the Pokemon anime since, like, what was it, the Orange Islands?
And I never have, so.
It was after the Indigo League, and then I was incensed that they took Brock off the team. How dare you? Tracy was a pale comparison. And the Orange Islands kind of bored me, and I fell out of, and I think I aged out of it, honestly. I did watch a bit of the Sun and Moon anime, just because it was on, I think it was Netflix, one of the streaming things, and it's like, oh, I hadn't seen this in forever. How is it going? And it's like, yep, this is pretty much where I left it. Cute, fun, innocuous. Why are they changing the game story that much? Arg. But I have not watched the show enough to really have an informed opinion.
Who are these characters exactly, Ian? I'm familiar with them visually, but I have no idea what their story, what their role is.
Insofar as the games, Dawn is the default name for the female trainer out of Diamond Pearl. Serena's the default female trainer for X and Y.
Okay.
And Lillie is one of the major companions in Sun and Moon. She's kind of central to the plot line. And her growth from a sheltered, fearful individual into a strong, independent woman who don't need no Pokemon is actually Sun and Moon really has one of the best stories out of the Pokemon games, in my humblest opinions. Lillie's arc especially is rather nice. In terms of who they are in the anime, I don't know particularly well because I didn't watch them.
Me neither. Next question comes from Scruffymatt. Quick question for you. Did Thrash the Tasmanian Devil still exist post-Genesis Wave? We never saw him again after the Endangered Species arc. I was wondering whether he might have ever shown up again had the ArchieSonic series continued, or if he got Thanos'd out of existence like so many others did.
There was some debate on whether or not Thrash should get retooled for the reboot, and ultimately we decided to leave him buried because Endangered Species ruined the character. It was not the direction I wanted to go with him at all, but the circumstances surrounding that story kind of forced my hand, and he was unfortunately the easiest way out of a bad narrative situation. It ruined the character. It totally derailed where I wanted to go with him. And bringing him back post reboot was kind of impossible because his entire motivation was built off of the pre-reboot lore. And the amount of retooling he would need to make sense post reboot would have just basically been a new character. And he already had that stigma attached to him because of what we had to do pre-reboot. So it's like, no, just let him die. It still hurts because I love the design Tracy did for him. He was a fun character with a fun moveset. There was so much that I was going to do with him, and it all fell apart, and it was completely unsalvageable. He's like building this beautiful model airplane and throwing it into the sky, and it flipping over and crashing into the ground and suddenly bursting into flames. And then the dog comes over and whizzes on it to put it out and then bites the plane and shakes it apart. And then it bursts into flame again. It was bad. It was bad.
Oof. Another one, another casualty, sad casualty of the reboot. What a shame. Next one is from Tikos. In issue 44 of Sonic Universe, part 4 of Secret Freedom, there is a small scene that I thought was peculiar. While Silver and Shard are fighting Nagus, the latter realizes that Shard is a robot and asks Jeffrey to toss him his Chaos Emerald wand to crystallize him. I find this odd because I thought Nagus was capable of crystallizing things just fine without the need of it. So why did Nagus ask for his wand in order to do this? This may be another case where you don't remember because it's been so long, which I understand, but I hope you can answer the question to the best of your ability.
Okay, thank you for that out. This is what I think I remember. That Nagus's crystallization magic was only really potent inside the Zone of Silence. Outside of the Zone of Silence, he couldn't do diddly squat. He could crystallize the minions that had formed magical contracts with him, like Kodos and Uma and the King. But that's only because the magic carried over. He needed the Chaos Emerald wand to do any kind of serious against your will crystallization, which would include Shard or anybody else.
Alrighty. Before we get into the standard Q&A, we have an ad for this week. From Sin Fritz wanted us to talk about Demons Ate My Neighbors and the current ongoing Kickstarter. You can find it over at kickstarter.com/project/tunedoutgames/damn, DAMN. It is a spiritual successor and a kind of roguelite follow-up to Zombies Ate My Neighbors with a very, very delightful acronym for a name. It says, Demons terrorize y'all's neighborhood in a funky, manic roguelite shooter. Exorcise neighbors from hell with squirt guns in 1991. Yeah, I'm into it. I'm looking forward to it. It's got music by T-Lopes, so be sure to go check it out. It's 1 or 2 players. You can play in co-op mode. I mean, if you played Zombies Ate My Neighbors, it seems like you would get a good feel for this. It's pretty similar. It looks great. Definitely some nice stuff going on here, so check it out. Is standard Q&A time, so let's hop into one from PC the Unicorn. Ian, if you were given the chance, how do you think you would incorporate the Metarex and Cosmo in the IDW Sonic series?
Okay, I'm going to lay this out all on the table. I actually want to pitch that for IDW Sonic. Not within Season 3, of course. That's Evans. But maybe Season 4, maybe Season 5. I don't know. There's a lot of things that have to be done. But I actually legit want to pitch that. See if it's available. So I'm going to stay mum on that. Who knows? If it doesn't go, if the pitch gets shot down, maybe I can answer. But for now, I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
All right. And our next question comes from Godzilla. More kaiju in the Sonic franchise, yay or nay? And who wins in a Destroy All Monsters brawl? Perfect Chaos, Iblis, Biolizard, Metal/Master Overlord, gotta give the mecha some love, Giant Zavok, or Devil Doom?
Okay, so Major kaiju are fun, but we've kind of seen that, you know? Let's do some regular old big old boss mecha for a bit, and then we'll get back into our kaiju. That's at least how I approach it. And you forgot Time Eater, man.
Yeah.
Time Eater, I think, should count.
I guess, except, Time Eater's kind of boring because it should have been Doomsday. It should have been a remake of Doomsday for the final boss of Generations, but I'm not bitter.
Well, you've got Supersonic flying around, gathering rings and dodging debris, chasing down the boss. That's kind of ish.
It's not. No, it's not right. It's not right.
Confusing. Yeah.
Ian, it's not right.
I know. I try to give the benefit of the doubt, but no. Good question. I think it would come down to a grudge match between Master Overlord and Devil Doom, because the two of them can trot out Chaos Control.
Yeah.
And that immediately puts them ahead of all the others.
Kind of weird that Perfect Chaos can't, considering he's literally made up of 7 Chaos Emeralds, but okay, sure.
He's a mutant Chow, man. I don't think he can really conceptualize Chaos Control.
Yeah, well.
I mean, if he was in a better mood, he'd probably be picking up giant crayons with them tentacles and, drawing on buildings. Just imagine Chow Babble, but magnified 100 times. Bakuba. Yeah. I mean, you might argue that Iblis could hang on because you can't actually kill Iblis. Iblis isn't ever really truly defeated, just sealed away. But I can imagine they could keep beating him back. I'm going to go with Master Overlord in the end.
Yeah.
Because if we're going into the always dubious power levels here, it took Supersonic and Super Shielded Knuckles and Tails to bring him down, while Devil Doom went down to just Super Shadow. Almost said Super Chaos. So
to be fair, that might just be because the boss fight for Metal/Master Overlord is so freaking buggy that you needed 3 characters to do it to overcome the absolute nightmare that was the Master Overlord boss.
Yeah, I'm going to go on further because the other 3 teams were wailing on him while he was transforming, and it still took 3 super forms to take him down. So I'm going to give this to Master Overlord.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. Yeah, I recently played through Sonic Heroes and for the first time fought Metal Overlord. And, that boss is a mess. I mean, the whole game is a mess, but the boss especially its final form. Like, it's just kind of like controls are a suggestion in that final boss fight. It's merely a suggestion.
Not rules so much as guidelines.
Pretty much, exactly. And there's like invisible walls everywhere that make no sense, and you get caught up on geometry that is invisible and doesn't exist. And it's a freaking nightmare. It's just like mash buttons until you win, maybe, if you're lucky. I don't know. It's a mess. But I mean, he needed a lot of work to take down, so compared to everybody else. So I'm going to agree with you on that one. Metal Overlord for sure. Next question is from Joseph T. In Sonic issue 30, why did you hint at Thanos'd? That's a very weird word. Why did you hint at Thanos'd at the end, Dreadlock tease, despite the fact that she went gaga over his emerald the previous issue? What's your stance on who Rouge likes when between Shadow and Knuckles, and who do you prefer her with? Also, will Shadow get a moment with Rouge like that?
I didn't hint at anything. Rouge is a tease.
That's what she does. I mean, she does
messes
it to
with people.
She does it to everybody.
She flirts. That's one of her many, many weapons.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, Sonic Generations, she has basically a flirt ray to hit robots with, which makes no damn sense. But we're getting off track.
Well, welcome to video game logic.
Yeah, no, I know. But, again, I do not endorse any ships. I stand on the pier and watch you all set sail and wave merrily. I may cut the line on a ship and watch it sail out to sea just to see what happens. see who gets on board, see who tries to sink it. But I do not endorse, I do not support, I do not dis-support. Y'all can pair whoever you want with whoever you want. I don't care. I'm tired of that question. I'm tired of people being angry about it. Just do your own thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Common Writer 4Z asks, hey Ian, have you started playing Rivals of Aether now that you're on the team? If so, who's your main?
I haven't played it yet. I have not played a lot of video games lately. It is sad, but I should pick it up at some point. I think the Switch version is coming out soon.
Aha.
So when that drops, maybe I'll pick it up, or I don't know if it's cross-platform. Do you have it, Kyle?
I have it on PC, yeah. I believe it's
maybe I'll get it on Steam and we can stream it at some point.
I believe it's cross-platform.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about streaming it, so I would love to do that. But I think it might be cross-platform. Let me see. Wow. It says, no, we don't have crossplay, but that was back in 2017. We don't have crossplay between Steam and Xbox Live. That was in 2017, though, so crossplay, let's see. Much more active on Steam than on Xbox. Yeah, I don't know. If we've wanted to stream it together, you might have to go with the PC version.
Okay. Well, stick a pin in that.
Yes.
But no, I've not played yet. I haven't mained anybody yet. I've been focusing on future endeavors.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet either. It's another game that's just sitting in my library that I need to get around to. It's a very good-looking game, though, and I do want to play it. It looks like fun, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, another one in the old queue. Next one is from my alter ego. It stole my secret identity. Doofus Brain Super Idiot. Thank you very much. Stealing my alternate name. Not really. They say Sonic is exactly 1 meter tall, but is that with or without his shoes?
Oh, goodness. I don't know. They look like they have pretty thick soles, but apparently animal people from Sonic's world have gelatinous feet, so maybe they mold down. I don't know. I don't know.
Did they have gelatinous feet? No, Ian. What?
They have to. Because if you look at what very little art we got beforehand with Big and the summer art of Amy and Tails, they have just these blob feet. But if you get the sandals in Sonic Forces, it morphs kind of like a big toe to grab the thong of the sandal. But otherwise, they're just blobs. So they have gelatinous pseudopod feet, I guess.
Weird. Sonic is weird.
If they ever mod it so he's running barefoot, I just imagine two wet hams getting slapped against the countertop over and over again.
Oh no! This is the consequence of using the rubber hose designs, I guess, huh? Is this what it's come down to? Is this it? Is this like, we took too much from classic Mickey Mouse cartoons? This is coming back to bite us. Oh boy. All right, we got one last question. This one's from Michael B. Hi Ian, have you seen Mega Man Fully Charged? What are your thoughts, and will you be checking out the comic miniseries by Boom? I think we did like a whole episode on Fully Charged or something, but that was ages ago, and I think it was like the first episode we talked about or something. First few episodes.
I didn't get much further than the first handful, and no offense to the team, it's just it wasn't the Mega Man that I wanted. It wasn't aimed at me anyway, so I didn't really follow it, and I really have no interest in the miniseries. I hope it does well for them, certainly. If you're a fan of Fully Charged, I hope you get more Mega Man goodness. The fans of the other branches are currently starving, so I hope you can get something.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing. I don't know. I don't remember what my thoughts on the original on the cartoon were. I think it was like not really into it. I mean, obviously, because I never watched it any further than that. But
I do remember I got to speak to one of the showrunners once, and said, now that I have this, once in a lifetime opportunity, folks were drawing a lot of comparisons between Xander Payne's motivation and another villain within Fully Charged, the Southern accented guy. I forget his name. Basically, who was seeding the robot revolution to get people to turn away from robots. And I'm like, was that a small nod to Xander? And he looked at me like he had no idea what I was talking about. It's like, I don't think so. And it's like, oh, okay. I didn't have my hopes very high, but
they were still dashed. Well, speaking of being gone now, that's it for this episode of the BumbleKast.
Now, we continue to answer all these questions with the support of all the wonderful patrons who've kept us going for years now. Kyle, give a shout out to all those beautiful people.
I will, as soon as I open up the page with their names on it. I will do that. Come on.
I would do it, but I am running out of gas.
Yeah, we're toward the end here, so you're fine. You just sit back and relax. And meanwhile, I will give thanks to Daniel H., Salute Your Cat, Robotnik Holmes, Rachel W., Invade Turbo Tunis, Scorched Freedom, Jonathan D., a.k.a. Ink Pants, Sony, Blue Title Gamer, Koopaling Crew, Andrew D., Papadripopolous, Matthew S., a.k.a. Scruffymatt, Chris A., John B., Diane W., Jennifer R., Torchbound, Jennifer H., Lisa M., Godzilla, Chaos Universe, Sonic Legacy, Lauren W., Owen B., Preston M., Yami M., Tick Tick, Justin S., Silly String, Tukaro, Overthinking Films, Don B., John M., Chauvel, Mike B., Duiz Dizdin, Samuel P., Alex P., Justin G., Dave M., Sam Cybercat, and Final Neil.
Now then, Kyle, with that list out of the way, where can people find you once this is all done?
You can head on over to Twitter at KyleJCRB, where you can find me there. You can also check out kngi.org, where you can find archived episodes of my show Nitro Game Injection. And you can listen to that one and tune in for it streaming live on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's all the information is over there. You can also join the KNGI Discord, which I do recommend. We have some fun over there. And all that good stuff. Also at kngi.org, you can find archived episodes of the BumbleKast in MP3 downloadable format for your listening pleasure on any MP3 device. So be sure to check that out if you enjoy the audio podcast-only versions. All of the subscription links and everything will be over there as well. So where can the people find you, Ian?
You can follow me on Twitter at IanFlynnBKC, my personal website, BumbleKing.com, which has links to my full portfolio, my release schedule, and one of my free comics, The 9 Lives of Claus McGee. There's also my free weekly webcomic, Drogoon, that's DROGUNE.com, which also has links to the free spin-off mini, Drogoon Outlaw.
Don't forget, you can also follow the BumbleKast at BumbleKast on Twitter. You can also email us at bumblecast@yahoo.com, and you can subscribe to listen to us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, our YouTube channel, and over at kngi.org, as previously mentioned.
You can support us by heading over to the Bumble Store, that's shop.spreadshirt.com/Bumble Store, and by a wide variety of wonderful objects with a variety of BumbleKast logos to put on it.
And don't forget also check out the BumbleKast Gaming live streams on Twitch. Twitch.tv/BumbleKastGaming, usually on Sundays at around 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also keep an eye on Twitter for announcements of other times we're streaming throughout the week. So sometimes that will happen. You'll get a special bonus stream sometimes. So keep an eye out for that. You can also follow us on Twitch to get notified and all that good stuff. And also we had some subscribers recently over on Twitch as well. So a big thank you to those folks. They're also patrons, so I've already shouted them out, but hey, you guys are still awesome. That's
going to wrap us up for this episode of BumbleKast Q&A. We'll see you next week for more of your questions and more of our answers.
Indeed. We'll see you next time.
Okay, cool.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Very good game. Also good soundtrack on that one, too. Go figure. It's a video game. Of course it has a good soundtrack. Just kidding. There are plenty of video games that have awful soundtracks. Like Crazy Bus. Just kidding. That thing's a masterpiece.
Phenomenon. Doom, doom, doom. Necronominum. Do doom 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 doom. Necronominum. Do doom do doom 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 doom.
You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
And we're done.
We're done. And you're done.
And I am very done.
You are done.
Oh, boy.
Okay, we are going.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we will see you next time.
I'll see you later, Ian. You have just aged about 90 years.
Yeah, could you tell I was pushing a little hard there at the end?
Yeah. Go, just stop. Just don't speak. I hear what you're saying. Don't tell me, because apparently it hurts.
Because you're scaring me now. You're gonna hurt yourself.
Ian, no, stop.
Later, guys.
Bye.